Welcome, and thanks for checking out this video. Today I'll be rendering the line layer for this Orc Warrior Babe, starting with her overly elaborate pie crust patterned bra. I'm at a loss for words for these videos because it's the same thing over and over. You know, I haven't altered my technique in some time. And I don't know if repeating myself is of value to anybody, but here we go. I've already got the under drawing completed underneath. It's the rough one layer, if you can see the palette on the left, just set to a super low opacity, and I'm just cleaning that drying up. Everything is basically there. I just introduced another layer called texture, which I use a slightly different brush for. It's basically the same brush, just larger and with less flow, so that it's got a scratchier texture. In my mind, it's like using the side of your pencil. I think I'd do that here on her chin a bunch, around her mouth. Wherever I need a softer transition that my usual hatching technique might not cut it, I'll use that texture brush. And there's the third brush I use, which is basically the same as my main, but it's pure black, and I reserve it for outlines only. That's sort of the I don't want to say the secret. The main element of my style has always been to render the black lines as the outer edges of shapes rather than the shadowy areas. A lot of comic book artists will do sort of the opposite, where they'll draw the underside lines of an object thicker to indicate shadows, and the upper sides thinner, which looks awesome. There's nothing wrong with that technique. It's not wrong in any way, but it's just never been the way that I do it. For me, I think of it in terms of inside and outside lines, and the outside shape gets a bolder, blacker line, and inside shapes kind of, it fades off into the gray lines. So my main brush, like, its opacity, I don't know what it is, but as hard as I press, it will not give me a black line unless I go over it 5 or 6 times, which I like because it gives me that ultimate control. I can beef up lines as necessary, but by default they're quite light. And there's the last layer, which I call the shadow layer. I just reserve that for the bigger cast shadows. I can throw in a big shape that's a cast shadow without obliterating any of the line work. Just makes it easier if I decide I need to move like that leg or something like that. With the cast shadow on its own layer, I have an easier time doing stuff like that, making edits. I gave her a little choker necklace. It's a little bit of a cheat because I noticed I had drawn her neck kind of poorly. I don't know what you call those tendons that go from like ear to collarbone. They looked a little wonky, so rather than fix it, I just covered it up with a cool bone and mini skull necklace. I don't know if any of you have watched a slightly older instructional video from Brad Rigney, also known as Cryptcrawler, but I definitely had a character he drew in my head when I was rendering her face. Can't remember what that video was called, but it was like a cyberpunk Shadowrun orc street boss with her minions behind her, and tried to go for something similar, just real tough looking, no nonsense. Kind of sexy, but more scary than sexy. If you're interested, you can check out my Patreon if you wanted to have access to this Photoshop file, and you can dive into the layers. I'll go through them quickly at the end of the video. Yeah, I gave her this like big exposed lumpy forehead that kind of reminds me of a Klingon or something like that. Not quite orcish, but that's definitely the Brad Rigney influence, I think. He did something similar with his character, and I really liked it. There, you can see I was drawing the hair in the back on a separate layer just so I could overshoot my lines and then just delete that was needed without destroying everything on top. Well, that's about it. Here's a little breakdown of the layers, showing my rough sketches and the colors. The background I just grabbed from something I had done previously. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you in the next one. Bye-bye.